Alright, and this is our next one. We're on love. This is the next attribute of God. Alright, so we're going to be focusing on 1 Corinthians chapter 13 here. And we're going to be going through it because this is pretty much the premier chapter on love, right? Alright, so verse 1 says, If I speak in the tongues of men and of angels, but have not love, I am a noisy gong or a clanging cymbal. And if I have prophetic powers and understand all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have all faith, so as to remove mountains, but have not love, I am nothing. If I give away all I have, and if I deliver up my body to be burned, but have not love, I gain nothing. Love is patient, love is kind, love does not envy, love does not boast, it is not arrogant or rude, it does not insist on its own way, it is not irritable or resentful, it does not rejoice at wrongdoings, but rejoices with the truth. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Love never ends. As for prophecies, they will pass away. As for tongues, they will cease. As for knowledge, it will pass away. For we know in part, we prophesy in part, but when the perfect comes, the partial will pass away. When I was a child, I spoke like a child, I thought like a child, I reasoned like a child. When I became a man, I gave up my childish ways. For now we can see in a mirror dimly, but then face to face. Now I know in part, then I shall be known fully, even as I have been fully known. So now faith, hope, and love abide, but these three. But the greatest of these is love. Alright. So we speak in the tongues of men and angels, but have not love. I am a noisy gong or clanging cymbal. So what this is saying is if we speak, we have tongues of men and angels, if we can do all these amazing works and signs, but we don't have love, then we are nothing, right? It doesn't mean anything. So if we understand all the mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have all the faith as to move mountains, but have not love, I am nothing. So without love, it doesn't matter if we can move mountains. It doesn't matter if we have that much faith. It doesn't matter. All that matters is that we don't have love, right? Love is the most important thing we can have, right? If we don't love our brothers and sisters, or in Christ, if we don't love people around us, how can we love God? And if we're not loving God, then what is the point of anything, right? Loving God is incredibly crucial. So we look at that and it says we have prophetic powers, we can understand all mysteries and all knowledge. As awesome as that would be, we have all the faith, but without love, I am nothing. Love is not an easy thing to do. It means giving of yourself to others, right? That's basically what it means to love someone, is you're giving up something of yours to someone else. And that's how you can show your love. That's one way to love. That's a hard thing to do. So without being able to do that, without being able to love, God gives himself perfectly all the time to us, no matter what, right? He gives himself, he gives his time, his resources, his abilities, he gives it to us. He gave us the Bible, he gave his son. How much more loving is that? You give your own son to die, right? He shows his love in such an amazing way so often. So all the time, infinite. He has infinite love. So that is just crazy. So we really should live as people who love one another, and that's something that you don't see often these days, right? People would rather, again, mess up one of your brothers and sisters just to get ahead in life, instead of being loving, instead of caring more about love than yourself, right? So that's something we can all learn. If I give away all I have, and if I deliver up my body to be burned, but have not love, I gain nothing. One of the greatest things a Christian can do, one of the greatest acts of faith, is to be martyred, right? That is biggest, probably worst way to go, but that's the way that you're going to show the most faith to God. People will all come flying to God when you see that us Christians are willing to die for him, right? To die for our faith. But if we do that, but we don't love people, then we gain nothing, right? So love is patient, love is kind, Love does not envy. Love does not boast. It is not arrogant or rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice at wrongdoings, but rejoices with the truth. Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, and endures all things. So this is what love is, right? Love is patient. It means you don't stop loving someone because of something, right? You're patient with them. Love is kind. So love does include being kind, of course. Love does not envy or boast. You're not being arrogant when you are loving someone, right? You're not doing it for you. You're not jealous of someone else who's getting love. You're giving selflessly. That's what love really, truly is and means. It's not rude. It does not insist on its own way. It is not irritable or resentful. It does not rejoice at wrongdoings, but rejoices in the truth. We talked about how important truth was last episode, right? Or not last, the one before, but we talked about how important truth is, and love rejoices in the truth. It doesn't rejoice at wrongdoings, right? Love wants to see everyone succeed and do the best they can, right? Love bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, and endures all things, right? When you're loving, you're hopeful, right? When you're loving someone, you hope for them. It can endure all things. It can endure all the hardships all the ways that you can get hurt. Love, if you love them, if you love someone, those things don't matter so much, right? Love never ends. As for prophecies, they will pass away. As for tongues, they will cease. As for knowledge, it will pass away. Love never ends, right? It's never ending. God's love for us, especially, is never ending. It doesn't matter what we do, what we say, what we think. God's love will always be there, right? Which is just an amazing truth. Knowledge will pass away. Prophecies will pass away, right? Prophecies get fulfilled, and they're no longer prophecies. Then they're just things that happened, right? For we know in part, and we prophesy in part, but when the perfect comes, the partial will pass away. When we're in heaven, all things on earth will pass away, right? But the love of God will never pass away. Something that's definitely amazing. When I was a child, I spoke like a child, I thought like a child, I reasoned like a child, and when I became a man, I gave up my childish ways. For now we see in a mirror dimly, but then face to face. Now in part, then I shall know fully, even as I have been fully known. So, when we're children, we speak like a child, and we think like a child, right? And then as we grow up, we start growing out of those ways. We don't think in those ways so much. But, there's no faith like little babies, right? They fully love and they fully trust their parents, right? They rely on their parents for everything because they can't do anything. So they're such a good picture of faith. But we give up those ways, right? But we still have that childlike faith, which is something that's also important. For now we see in a mirror dimly, but then face to face. So now we kind of can see what love looks like and what God's love looks like. But when we're in heaven, we'll see His love and experience His love firsthand, and that will be an amazing day. Alright, so now faith, hope, and love abide. These three, but the greatest of these is love. Faith and hope are so important. Don't think the verse isn't saying that. It's just saying that love, you can't have faith and you can't have hope if you don't first have love, right? You have to love Christ. Period. And then once you love Christ, how do you love Christ the best though, right? You love Christ by loving each other. You love Christ by loving your families, your friends, just anybody. It doesn't have to be them. It's the people you don't even know. By loving them, you love Christ, right? The greatest of these is love. So we should be constantly living in love, even though it's incredibly hard. It's so hard to love some people, and I know that, right? Something I definitely need to work on is living in love instead of bitterness or resentment or whatever. Forgiving people, right? Love forgives. It's when you love someone, you can forgive them anything, even as bad and as hard as it may be to do that. God will give you the strength to do that. So we should be living in love. We should be living fully for God. We should be, of course, as important as faith is and hope is, just love, right? Love people around you. That should be a first version of ministry, right? That is what ministry is. And what better way to love on people than giving of your time? That is pretty much what it means, right? Sacrificing something of yourself to for someone else, right? So love is not arrogant. It does not insist on its own ways. It is humble. Love is giving something that's hard to do. So hope this helps in some way, and make sure you stay tuned for the next one. Have a great rest of your day, guys.